Hey, what's up Instagram? It's Hemming Who speaking here, and today I've got 2 tips to help you improve your forehand topspin so that it looks like this, rather than having problems like that, or like that, or whatever else the problem might be. So I'm going to start off by explaining the basic mechanics of the forehand topspin. First of all, this video was made for a friend from America who reached out to me and is having some problems with his forehand topspin technique. I've noticed the same trend, or a very similar trend, amongst the guys that I coach on a weekly basis before we fix out the problems together and get the student to have a proper forehand topspin like that, rather than anything else. First of all, the first step of it all is to go back with your wrist, have a 95% straight arm, so not completely straight. Otherwise, ultimately what will happen is you feel tense, you're going to use your shoulder to carry the movement forward, which is not good. In this movement, we want our wrist to be dominating the whole arm structure of the shot. And I'll explain why at the end of this video, after the 2 techniques that I'm about to introduce. We get our wrist back like that. So an arm that's 95% straight, nearly straight but not fully. We get our wrist back only like that. And then the second part is that we close with the wrist as well. We close this forearm using the wrist. The reason we do this is so your back can go back, and then you can brush the ball with the rubber. Okay, and then because of that, we generate spin and speed at the same time. If we don't get our wrist back, this is what it's going to look like. Obviously, that's not got very much spin on it at all. So what we do want to have is something where your wrist goes back, your arm is nearly straight, and then you close the shot using your wrist. Then you're able to seize the ball, get the bat to grip the ball for as long as you can, and then you get as much spin as you possibly can. What people have to understand if they're struggling with this shot is that in table tennis, where the racket's so light, especially compared to the other sports like tennis, badminton, any other racket sport, you name it, squash, they've got heavy rackets where the shoulder has to be used in the shot. When we play table tennis with such a light racket, in almost any shot of the game, it's the wrist that does, it's the fingers, it's the wrist, it's the lower end of the arm that does the work in controlling the ball, spinning the ball, gaining extra power and spin at the same time. If we use our upper arm in the shot, that's going to happen. We're going to lose control, we're not going to have much control, and we're also going to feel like we're trying so hard to get spin and speed, and it's just not going to ever happen together. Whereas if you're able to understand that the wrist is what causes the spin on the ball, and also the faster you move your wrist, the faster the ball will go as well, you'll be able to generate spin and speed together doing something like this. I hope that made a lot of sense, and for those that are struggling with their forehand technique, I'd highly recommend at this stage, if your number 1 priority is to fix your technique, and then after that, once you've gotten used to it, then you can start having fun with the shot, then I would strongly suggest that you only practice 1 ball at a time. Get a robot to feed you, or get a friend, get a coach, whoever. Get them to feed you 1 ball at a time in the same spot, rather than doing any footwork at this stage. The reason for this is because you're able to focus purely on the 1 shot at a time, and you're able to start developing correct and good habits of technique, 1 ball at a time, rather than if you play 2 balls at a time, you focus on moving and your attention split. If you practice 1 at a time here, you're able to actually fully work on developing this habit, and then you can move on to footwork and further things in the future. Just to finish off, the wrist is responsible for following through, going back and following through to generate spin in the shot. So if we don't go back like that, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to be able to get any tension on the ball. If we don't follow through like that, we're also going to have no end point, and the ball's not going to successfully grip like this. So just to reiterate why we practice 1 ball at a time to start with, is because we want to embed this habit of doing that permanently. We want to make this become second nature before we go into more advanced things. If you're still not developed in the habit of doing that, and you're still sometimes doing that, and then you go on to start learning the correct footwork patterns, you're going to be only 70% developed in this, and then later down the track, you're going to have a lot of problems when you come into matches or when you come into just any sort of playing. You're going to struggle to be able to get the shot that you want, to get it to look the way you want to, and then you're just going to run into all sorts of different problems. So whoever's out there that is looking to improve their forehand technique or has been struggling for a number of years, feel free to reach out to me and let me know how you go with the shot. All the best and good luck. Cheers, guys.